We're expecting more people.
Blimey,
imminently, but
we've gone live already.
we've gone like, well, why not?
What
It's
the
Christmas,
hell?
isn't it? We'll see who rolls up for a little bit of ho 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 and a little bit of Christmas cheer, because I'm feeling quite playful. I don't mind telling you, I'm feeling very, very playful. And the elves, I'm sure, will come to join in as well. We'll see who rolls up in the live chat, because we're doing all the usual business as well. So we've got us. We're supposed to be getting another couple of people. So I thought, we wouldn't go live until we got a good complement of helpers here in the toy room. We've got somebody else. Oh, brilliant. We've got Bowlestrek here, the fabulous Chris Bowlestrek in fine voice.
He's not going to start shouting, is he?
Well, I hope so.
Are you, Ian, are you going to make me mad?
No.
Okay.
Chris,
I've never yelled in my life, ever.
Chris, do you do a good ho, ho, ho?
There you go.
Oh! Yes! Do it again. I'll sample it.
Okay.
We can't get to. We might get another one out of him later on, everybody. Yes. Oh, well, it's good to have you all back. I mean, well, I say all back. I don't think you've all been on at the same time ever, but yeah, it was nice to see. To see everybody sort of up for this, down for this, whatever you call it, to look through some Christmases past and present, and maybe a little bit into the future too. We're going to look at movies and TV and everything else, and hopefully the people who we're broadcasting all of this out to, guys, they'll join in too. If we wish very, very hard, keep our little eyes closed nice and tight, Ian, and make a Christmas wish. What do you think?
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, yo, ho, ho.
We're going to inject the Christmas spirit. Inject the Christmas spirit into him, Chris. Like that meme of Rambo with that massive fuck off gun. You know the one.
Are you going to make me sing?
No.
Well, if the
I
mood
do have a
takes
machine gun though. Ho ho ho. Somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm going to be channeling. I don't know if you know who this is, Chris. I'm going to be channeling the spirit of this guy, Mr. Noel Edmonds. He is a bit of a TV icon in Britain, a bit of a tit, some people would say, but a master of his craft. I can only hope to worship at his feet and click the hoofa doofa and instigate this special edition of the Spacebook Listed completely live to Facebook and to YouTube. That's where we're streaming it to. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play the titles, drop the old banners on, and then we'll start proper because I know that people are lining up. There are people, because obviously a lot of our punters, as you can imagine, John, it's Friday night, the Friday before Christmas. It's 9 o'clock. Most of them are 3 parts pissed by now. That's fair to say.
They're on the floor trying to climb into their own shoe at this point, aren't they?
Well, I'd like to think so. And so, if we can give them a little aperitif to go along with that, Nicky, to wash the aperitif, to wash down that kind of Christmas spirit with a brand of our own. Stoke up some memories and who knows what else. Settle your bowels, everybody, and your stomachs. Pour yourself a drink. Let's get cracking. I haven't played this one for a few weeks, so here it goes. Hello. Yes, it's the Spacebook and Listed. We're not quite by the fireside, but we are full of warmth, and the compliments of the festive season settle in for lots of blasts from Christmases past here on our classic telly and movies, video, podcast, live stream, whatever you want to call it. We're just going to get together, have a nice casual chat here amongst friends, with everybody out there receiving this, because we're broadcasting it live too. We're in the 21st century, of course, the age of streaming and physical media, but we make no apologies here on the Spacebook for winding back the clock and bringing back some memories to compare our takes of Christmases and Christmas viewing rituals from decades past. Yes, I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's king of the geeks, and I'd offer you a mince pie, if I could, of course, a virtual mince pie. I'd recommend that you get your gams round one now. If you've got any to hand, turn the heating up a little bit. Well, cost of living crisis and all that. You could always sort of rub your hands together. Could you think yourself to a big open fireside somewhere and join in the conversation here with us in the live chat on YouTube and on Facebook there in the Spacebook's Facebook group. Hello, people there. Okay, let's bring everybody. And we've got a nice panel here full of jolly Christmas elves, I'm happy to say. Well, most of them. There's one icon. Yes, so here they are. I've got John Yulden here. I've got the mega geek over the other corner there, Ian David Diaz. We've got Bolstrek here, the mighty Bolstrek. Chris Bowles himself. I love that. Looks like a really peed off Pac-Man.
Oh, he's not happy.
Not a happy camper, is he?
Blame him.
Not a happy
on the naughty
camper
list.
at all. And Nicky P. Smalley in the bottom. Yeah, you got the same hat, haven't we, Nicky?
More or less, I've lost my ball.
Uh-oh.
As long as you haven't lost your balls, mate. There's far too much of that going on out there in the world as it is. Of course, we're living in the streaming age, gentlemen. We've got more choice than ever, and yet I can't find all to watch out there. It's a good job I've got a library full of physical media instead, and of course my memories to soak in and to relive Christmases and New Year's past with movies and TV. Is it all about the past for you, John, with Christmas, or are you always up for something new? Where do you sit with it?
Oh, I'm the past. I think I do miss the days of when you had Sky, when you had Christmas on ITV and BBC, and all the premieres were on at that period, and it was great. And you got the Radio Times, and you were circling what you were going to record on the VCR. I miss those times; they were great.
Yeah, it was something to look forward to, sort of at the end of a long year, wasn't it, Ian? You know, you'd settle in and you think, well, what have they got in store for us? What have they got in store for us now?
In those days, right, as John said, in those days, the BBC had a community. I'm not talking about, like ordinary people. I'm talking about star community. They had like Bruce Forsyth, Two Ronnies, Morecambe and Wise, stuff like that, and also Only Fools and Horses, and they were very welcome kind of shows to actually represent Christmas and stuff like that. And it was like a very, very strong community. Thousands, even millions used to watch. I mean, I think Morecambe and Wise got 20 million watching at one stage, a Christmas special. So Christmas was very special when I was growing up. It to me, it was about the TV, and it was about watching movies as well as opening presents when I was a kid. So that's what.
Well, the first present that we used to get, in some senses, was when you'd either go around the newsagent. I completely agree, and you go around the newsagent, or you'd get it delivered, Nicky. The Christmas radio and TV times, and the family would get them, and I used to fight with my younger brother to be the first to have a look and to see which movies were on, which TV shows were on, what clashed with what as well, because that was always the case, wasn't it? There was always a couple of movies on that you wanted to see that they put on at the same time.
Yeah.
You remember that, Nicky?
Yeah, sorry. I don't know if you were specifically asking me then. I think I must have lost my but yeah, I do. I mean, my memories are growing up. I mean, I didn't get much choice, to be fair. Usually whatever my dad wants to watch, he was in charge of. But it's something you don't do as much now. A family sat around the television, and you'd see the familiar faces. They're always seeing good on, be something you've seen a million times, like an old film, or something like Noel's House Party, that type of thing.
Yeah.
spend all night watching television, eating rubbish until you eventually fell asleep in front of telly. That's all that.
And these were indispensable, weren't they? I don't know if you were in the habit of buying these or asking for them as presents, Chris, but I couldn't get enough of these in my arsenal. So blank VHS cassettes there to pop in the VCR, mainly so that when Christmas did roll around, I would have plenty of tape there to bank up movies on. Is that what you used to do as well, Chris? Because I know you're a huge movie fan.
Yes, although my father went with Beta until Beta died. But it's odd. One thing that, and hello, everyone. Hi, how's it going? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too, mate.
Merry Christmas.
We're talking about Christmas and TV. It's odd. The one thing that really reminds me of Christmas is Star Trek, the original series. I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, you guys in that British show, I shall not mention by name, where you couldn't really, in the 80s, it wasn't airing anywhere. You couldn't get it. So you had to be lucky if you got the tape. So that was what we were like with Star Trek, the original series. So what we would do, did you just get that right now, or were you reading my mind? That is Arena, episode 19. Yes, I know the episodes by heart. I'm that pathetic.
Extraordinary.
So what we would do is the only way we could get Star Trek, at least where I was in the 80s, it wasn't airing on any channel. But Paramount started releasing the episodes individually on VHS. Now, I don't know how big a thing this was in the UK, but what most of us used to do here in Region 1 back in the 90s, because your average tape was $100, that's not adjusted for interest.
Really?
And if you wanted to buy the Star Trek tapes when they first came out, it was $100. Now, needless to say, young Bulls Trek with a high voice did not have $100 per tape. So what we would do is we had our Beta, then my dad would rent a second VCR. And every Christmas, we'd go to local. It was actually a store called Bandito's Video. It went out of business more than 30 years ago, but I can still remember it had like a big yellow sign. So that my high point of every Christmas. It took me about 3 years to get through. So this would be Christmas 86, 87, 88, and 89. So he'd get his second VCR, and we'd go to Bandito's, and we would rent the Star Trek episodes. And then we tape them. This is the 80s, so I'm sure statute of limitations is long since passed, because I bought them like 6 times since then. Okay. So we'd rent them, and they'd be out of order, but we would tape them. Then some of these tape, like my original tape of the Doomsday Machine, I wore out within a year, because I think it was every weekend, every Saturday morning I watched that.
Fabulous episode.
So that's what reminds me of Christmas is classic Star Trek, which has nothing to do with Christmas. But even today, around this time of year, I was, before the stream, I was watching classic Trek because it brings back those memories. But yes, so my old school pirate hat days, but to justify myself, so Dan doesn't get in trouble. So we're talking 30 years ago. So I did buy the entire original series on VHS. Much of them I ended up having to buy again because they were very cheap tapes and they were actually cut. So I ended up getting the uncut versions. Then I bought them. I had a couple laser discs, but I never had a laser disc player. I just thought they looked cool.
Yeah, they look cool.
I bought the entire series again on DVD, and this was not the season sets. This is when in Region 1 you'd get them in 2-episode sets. I bought all 79 episodes again with that. And then in 2009, when they released the Star Trek Blu-rays, I bought those. That's what I'm watching. But the transfers are terrible. They're old VCI quality. They're just awful. There's VCI or VC1.
Who knows?
Yeah, it's like the really old original codec, which is just terrible. So I want them out on 4K. I want your masters are fine. Give me a new transfer. And for Christmas 2020, what year is it? It's 23. I don't even know.
23.
Okay, so Christmas 2024. Bulls Trek wants new masters on 4K of Star Trek: The Classic Series, and I will buy it again for this. Will be what, the 5th time? If you count the original rentals, that would be the 6th time. So that's my very long-winded explanation.
Well, it's not that ridiculous when you think about it, because obviously Christmas being a public holiday, Chris, they fill up the schedules with stuff that they know that people like, stuff that they know that we're too lazy to get up off the sofa to change the channel, even if we've seen it 101 times. A lot of it is comfort food, I think, for the eyes and for the mind, Nikki. And so some of the things
actually, what I'm going to do, Dan, I'm going to go away for a sec. I think I have a couple of those tapes in my basement. I think I know where they are. I'm going to take a picture and I'll put it up on Twitter. So I'm just going to go in my scary basement and see if I can find a couple.
I'll see what you can rustle up, and I'll see what I can rustle up from the live chat here, because of course this is the Spacebook, the home of out there entertainment, and our Christmas cracker for 2023. We're live streaming it out there to a waiting audience of fellow TV and film fans. We're watching them watching us, so I think it's time that we step over into the live chat and see what they've got to say, and to check out the Christmas greetings there from our friends. Okay, where's my little thingy? Where's my hoofa doofa? Here it is. Ah, yes. Hello, everybody. Mark the Vicar's in. Hiya, Mark. He says, ho, ho, ho. Suck it. That's a fine language. A man of the cloth, Nikki. I mean, it's surprising, but...
Disgusting.
Don't know what he's asking. Is he asking us to suck at the communion wine? Could be that. Could be that. No, good to have you here, Mark. Good to have you here. Retro Doc Gary Akers, he's also in with a Merry Christmas, everyone. One Natele from that. That's you, Nikki. That's a good one. What does that mean? One.
Yeah, I was just saying it to everyone in the chat while we were loading up. Sorry.
What does it mean?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. We've got another Merry Christmas here too from DW Fan 83. Vanessa Law is also here, but she's driving and using the microphone. It's all very weird. Hello, everybody. Merry Christmas. This may be the last you hear of me. Well, drive safely, Vanessa. Get wherever it is you've got to go in one piece, for heaven's sake. Retro Doc loves the 80s techno. That's pretty much us all over. Got a greetings from San Francisco from the time scales too, and we have some other people too. Preeta Harrington's in. He's here with lots of Christmas icons. Good, always good to see those. And so is Darren. Darren Apken says, blank videotapes from Woolworths.
Yep.
Gen X nostalgia.
Yeah. Well, the Americans, they obviously don't know what we're talking about when it comes to Woolworths. Or did they have Woolworths in the States? I don't know. Did they?
They did have a Woolworths. I don't know if it's owned by the same people.
Because I remember, because we had a Betamax and a VHS. We had the C5, which was a Sony Betamax recorder, and I remember what Bolstrek was saying, that we used to record films from Betamax or was it VHS to Betamax, rent them out. But then suddenly they created that bug, didn't they, in the films that you couldn't tape them.
That's right, Macron,
picture, didn't they? Yeah.
It was Macrovision that was the company that clinched that, wasn't it, and made it impossible for us to do the things we weren't supposed to do.
Yeah, but yeah, I remember those days, because when Bostrek was talking about it, just brought back loads of memories. And I remember the stores that wasn't Blockbuster. There were these tiny little stores run by just ordinary people. And there was a store we went in. And in those days, there was pirates everywhere, pirate films everywhere. And when we went in, Betamax was on the left and VHSs were on the right. Do you know what I mean? So that kind of brings back memories. You go in there, rent a film out for Christmas. And again, it was before Blockbuster Video at the time. The majority of the films were pirate films. And I don't
Gary
think there's any law against it.
Gary says here, John, that he'll never forget the wonderful sound of my VHS machine eating the tape. Do you remember that sinking feeling?
Do you know what? Once I had a friend lent me the Doctor Who Genesis of the Daleks release, and I borrowed it. I put it in, and it chewed up the tape.
That's not good.
But my mum, she took it back to Woolworths because she'd already got me one for Christmas, and she pretended that there was a fault with the tape, so she got me a replacement copy for my mate for the tape that I just chewed up. So I felt the pain, but Mum got me out of jail on that one.
That's cool.
Peter Harrington reminds us of the cost of blank VHS back then, Nicky. 10 Scotch tapes were a fortune, a priceless sum. I wouldn't say a fortune, but yeah, if you got gifted them, that's why it was so good. If you pop them on the Christmas card, on the Christmas list, and you got a pack of tapes, it was a lot. It was less money you got to find for yourself out of your pocket money, wasn't it, Nicky?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't actually remember buying them myself, but I do remember getting them at Christmas, and I used to use them for, because I mean, my dad was an early adopter of Sky, and to have like these days where they'd have Steptoe and Son all day or whatever. I used to like put on long play and just record all the Steptoe and Son. And do stuff like that. And I've still got some of these. In fact, they're with my mate at minute. I said, I don't know what's on these tapes, but just transfer them digitally and I'll look for them afterwards. Because there's some stuff on there that I'm sure will be some right gems. Because I used to tape all sorts of rubbish.
It's funny. It's funny because the quality of the actual films themselves weren't very good at all. So I remember watching a couple of weeks ago, watching something on VHS, because I've still got a VHS player, and I look at the quality of the picture, I'm thinking, how did we put up with this? How did we put up with the quality?
Manually tuning as well.
Yeah. The tracking, remember the tracking. You had to put the tracking. And then if you played a tape too much, you'd have dropout. The tape crease and it will come down like, and you're like, oh, geez.
The worst thing I ever the worst thing I ever remember happening to me, I'd never seen Gone with the Wind, and the BBC was showing it. So put the tape in, long play, for lovely jubbly, I've sorted that. I set the time up and everything. But the BBC had a live concert which overran.
Yeah.
So I'm sat there 3 hours into film, and then just before the end, it cut off. I think I ended for years. I'm like, no.
Your pain on that one. Yeah.
The best laid plans. Peter Harrington reminds us Long Player was an eye-opener with a 4-hour tape. It became Snow and easy to get chewed up. Yeah, there were pitfalls, weren't there, Ian?
There was a big one with LP.
Yes.
A lot of VCRs would not play LP, so you had a choice of watching it very slow or very fast.
Yeah, but also the picture quality would be less if you recorded it in slow play. So
the brands made a difference. Some tapes were thicker than others, though, weren't they, Nicky? So some manufacturers, the quality control was a bit better.
You used to buy them at the petrol station as well, didn't you? I used to get a load cheap at the petrol station up the road.
Your best was Sony.
Sony.
Yes.
Sony was the best. Kodak actually had a yellow tinge to their tapes.
Yeah.
BASF was the best for the money. We used to buy those
easily
in bulk. And then you had the Scotch was touch and go. Then you had the off-brand that we used to get at Kmart back in the day, which were just horrendous. SP on those looked like a low-quality EP recording. They were awful. They would snap in your VCR. I had one VCR pretty much destroyed by one of those tapes. So it had to. So you had kind of a ranking. It's like the stuff that I like Star Trek and that British show, which shall not be nameless, got the high-quality tapes. And like stuff that I didn't really care about quality, like Married with Children or Roseanne or some sitcom I'd be recording, would get the cheap tapes and EP.
Do you remember recording a James Bond film on ITV, and you had to watch it because you wanted to cut the adverts out? So when the adverts came, you had to pause it. You had to stay there until it came back on. And press
the pause didn't stop halfway through.
Well, if you were lucky, you could fit 2 James Bond films, or sometimes even 3, onto one cassette if you used LP or one of those settings.
Horrible quality.
It was terrible quality looking back, but sometimes it was needs must. All those longer epic movies that you were talking about, Nicky, like the 10 Commandments, Gone with the Wind, all that sort of stuff. If you think, well, I could jam them on, but when they were handy if you were. How can I put this? If your parents demanded that, you're going to be in on Christmas Day, but for Boxing Day, you're going to your Aunt Beryl's. And you're going to be there for the whole day. But there were 2 movies on, that you wanted to see, and they were both on for like 3.5 hours, you were screwed. If you could pop one tape in, set it for the LP, you'd get both of those movies onto that tape on a wing and a prayer. You just got to hope beyond hope that the cassette wouldn't crease and snap and break and it would all get chewed up and it was all going to be nasty and there were tears by the end of Boxing Day.
Didn't they create that thing though, where in the TV times and also the radio times they had numbers?
VCR Plus.
Yeah. Well, what was that called again?
It was called VCR Plus.
That was it.
I remember that.
Yeah.
That was obviously a thing all over the world then.
Well, of course, no one used it. No one set up the timer on the VCR. Couldn't do it.
I had a Sharp VCR. I think it was around 92 that had VCR Plus. It didn't work. I tried it multiple times. You had to do it the old-fashioned way with just putting the stuff in manually because, you know, I'd set it in, okay, I want to watch Star Trek, and it will record it like Sesame Street the next day. It was useless.
Well, also, even today, if you're on Sky, say you want to record that British show that we will not mention, you know, you go to the menu and you press record, and it has the little R next to it. And then when it plays the thing before the film. It doesn't actually, you know, get the actual show itself, isn't it? It's ridiculous. Anyway.
It's taken all the joy out of recording stuff now. And just does it. You don't know the slog you have to go through to put.
I forgot all about Video Plus and those silly numbers. You're quite right, Chris. I think again, if you got lucky, you got most of the show you were supposed to record, but any variation at all, and the VCR would completely spaz out. You'd end up with heaven knows what recorded, and it was very, very frustrating. But there were great days, everybody.
I miss it. Like, and I remember recording that British show I shall not mention by name in episodic format. I remember at one point in the summer, I was about halfway through, or I was up to about 1984 of this various series, and I hadn't missed an episode. I'd been saving my allowance. I had them on SP tapes. I still actually have all those in my basement, so all recorded in SP, pristine quality. And then my parents decided we're going on a vacation for a week and a half. So this was stressful. So we had there were 3 VCRs. So what I did is set one VCR for a 4-part, then the next VCR for the 4-parter after that, then the third VCR for like the part of the next 4-parter I was going to miss. Then we went on our vacation, which you don't want to go on these things when you're a kid. I remember the whole time being on vacation, just thinking, if there's a power outage or anything, there goes. So it's like everything had to be set up perfectly. You know, it was right to the end of the tape because I had to include the commercials. So if it went over by a minute, the end would be cut off. And I miss those. I honestly missed it. Like it. So there was just something special about creating it yourself, sort of the analog aspect.
Over here, we had traditions, right? They used to play the same film every Christmas Day. First of all, it was Sound of Music. Then it was Raiders of the Lost Ark, every Christmas, and then it was a Bond film on ITV, wasn't it? So you get used to that as you get older and older and older. And I do miss those days. I've got to admit, I miss the days of.
The Bond thing has never really gone away, I think, Ian, on British television. I think that certainly persists to this very, very day. Another thing that hasn't gone away is, to my frustration, I haven't had it yet, thank heaven, but is this incredibly boring conversation. In fact, if you show me a person who insists that Die Hard is the greatest Christmas film of all time, I will show you a boring bastard. I've been spared that conversation this year, but I thought it could be fun to get into the topic of other sort of non-Christmas films and to see which ones you guys can recognize. You can join in there too in the live chat on YouTube and Rumble as well if you like. So how about we're going to show you some screenshots here of various movies that feature Christmas but aren't Christmas movies, and you guys are going to have your best guess as to which ones they are. If you're down for that, say yes.
Yeah.
I don't recognize any of these movies.
No.
when you get one of those cheap Kmart VHS tapes and try recording something in EP. That's the quality.
That's the one. That's the one. So I wonder. Obviously, there's no points, but this one is to. So I'll ask you first, John, and we'll work our way around and see if you can get this, and then we'll offer it up to somebody else if you can't identify it. So which Christmas but non-Christmas film do you think this is a still from? What do you think this is?
Oh my gosh. You got me on that one. It's going to bite me. Is this Love Actually?
Take your time. Have a good look.
Is it not
There are clues in the questions and questions in the clues. That's what Les Dawson would have said, isn't it? Clues in the questions in the clue. So there is a clue as to what it could be if you look at one element or another there. I know your eyes are drawn to the Christmas tree because you're a very Christmassy kind of guy. I can tell that by your jumper. But there are clues.
Figured it out.
So yeah, look closely. So it's Christmas elements. The film was set at Christmas, but it's not a Christmas film. What do you think we're looking at here? Any guesses, John, before I move it on to somebody else? You're going to have to pass. Ian David Diaz, are you going to take a punt on which movie do you think this is? Or do you want a clue? Do you want a year?
No idea. No idea what this is. Probably a film I've never watched. Probably.
I think it probably is one you've watched. Does anybody want a clue? Do you want me to tell you the year that it was made? Would that help?
Go on in.
Yeah. I'll give you a clue. It was made. Well, it was released actually. I think it was made a little while before, but it was released in 1999.
Oh,
1999.
Yeah. So Ian, have you?
an early one than that.
I don't know.
No. We got nothing from the mega vote there. Nikki, on to you, mate. Are you going to take a punt? What do you think this is? It's a film that was released in 1999, set partially at Christmas, but not a Christmas film.
What drives you from me? I actually genuinely thought it were Gremlins, and then when you said 1999, I thought, oh crikey, it's not Gremlins. I'm not sure. I wish I could make out that actor on the right. I keep turning the brightness up on me. Someone's put that in the comments, but I genuinely have no idea what it is.
Peter Harrington says it's the Christmas Invasion. The wrong show, Peter. Wrong show, mate. And Vanessa Law says, I'm being rude. I don't know what. Well, I'm sorry if I am. Sorry if I am. So you're looking at the actor. The clue is, in fact, the actor. You're absolutely right. But I'm going to move this on to Bowles Trek. Have you got any ideas, Chris, who that is and what film this could be?
I was thinking something, but then I'm like, no, I don't think it was the X-Files.
No.
The episode I'm thinking of was 1997, and because you had X-Files in the background, I'm like, it's got to be that episode. Let's see, what came out in 1999. End of Days? No. I got another question, another clue request. What genre is it?
This is drama.
Oh, I never would have watched it then.
Well, you could say, actually, mate, it's a thriller. I say you've probably watched this. No, it's not Lethal Weapon. But we do have a clue. Somebody has guessed right in the live chat. It looks like Tom Cruise. That's because it is Mr. Tom Cruise. So, was that Nikki? Nikki, I think we've had a penny drop.
Is that Eyes Wide Shut?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Eyes Wide Shut?
It is indeed Eyes Wide Shut.
That's the one with Nicole Kidman as well, isn't it?
It's an acid trip. It's you
never
have to be
seen
in
it.
a certain mood to watch it.
No wonder why I didn't know what it was. I've never seen this film ever in my life.
Wow, you surprised me. I love this movie. Haven't seen it for a little while. Obviously released in 1999, posthumously, wasn't it? It was just after Stanley Kubrick passed away. He spent 2 or 3 years working on this.
That story about that. He passed away. I believe it was 3 days after the final screening.
Really?
Yeah.
Crikey.
Blimey.
Very, very sad. Who's up for the next one then? Who's up for this one? I'm going to go.
The next one's easier.
Well, it's
the hard one.
Well, some of these could be easier or harder than others. Ian, it's over to you, mate. What do you think this one's from?
That's Batman Returns.
Oh,
It is Batman. It's his Batman Returns. The unmistakable production design, obviously, of Anton Furst, the late Anton Furst. Those two guys, very, very Metropolis, isn't it? With them pulling the levers, almost. It reminds me, actually, now looking at it now, of the Soviet Union. That kind of imagery, isn't it? You'd see on a Frankie Goes to Hollywood single picture sleeve, Nicky. Do you know that kind of thing? Are you a fan of Batman Returns, Ian? Is this a film you go back to very often?
Yes, I liked Batman Returns, even though the critics and families all around America lobbied to basically don't get their kids to see it, because obviously it was made for adults. It really wasn't made for kids at all, was it? Let's face it. I mean, Catwoman in a S&M costume, and do you know what I mean? The Joker spewing green stuff all over himself. Do you know what I mean? And was it looking women up and down and stuff like that? It wasn't made. It was made for adults, and it was a really good adult Batman movie as far as I was concerned. I loved it. I thought it was a great movie.
I agree.
Yeah,
brilliant.
I have personally always associated it with Christmas. I mean, most of it is set in the snow at the very least, even if not at Christmas. Is this one you go back to much, Nicky? Is this a film you dig out at Christmas time at all?
Weirdly, I wouldn't say it's something I particularly, even though I get what you say associated with Christmas, it's not one that I particularly watch at Christmas. But obviously those films are, I think, Burton just has a thing about Christmas. There's a lot of films that have either set at Christmas or got Christmas theme, and I do think it does add a lot to atmosphere of films, such as Edward Scissorhands and Nightmare Before Christmas, etc. Can all attest to, and it's still a good film, Batman Returns.
I tell you what, though, I remember when the first Batman came out, and all they did to advertise it was have the bat sign on it. With this one, it was clever. They had the bat sign, but had snow smashing against it, and it was a really, really nice logo for the second film.
I did love the poster for it as well in the cinemas. With the three of them. Yeah, that was a great poster.
My fourth most recent tweet is a picture of that Blu-ray, because I watched it this week. Not the angry account, the other account.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Dan, on the non-angry account. I tagged you in a picture, so now you got a picture of the things I was talking about earlier.
I'll reach out. I'll grab that in a little while when we go for a break.
You know what? There are. Sorry, I just like to say there are Christmas films. You can call them Christmas films, or it's debate that people never mention every year. Like, for instance, While You Were Sleeping.
You say that people never mention it, but you mentioned it, and we did
just
show last year.
That is a Christmas movie. I used to watch that every Christmas.
Last year I did mention it. And what about Green Book? Does that considered a
Green Book? Film? The one with Anton Yelchin?
No, Green Book, the one with oh God, it's about the piano player, the black piano player.
Viggo Marston and
yes. Yeah, so is that a Christmas movie? That's the question.
It's like reverse driving Miss Daisy, Dan.
That's right. Yeah, it's a good film. You should watch it.
Harrington made a good point. It's a Wonderful Life is not a Christmas movie. Neither is Holiday Inn. Christmas is part of it. So even what we think of as being Christmas movies, they're not actually Christmas movies. And here's a bit of trivia for you. It's a Wonderful Life. Those scenes where Sad George is running around in the snowstorm in Bad Christmas Land. That was filmed during a heat wave in the middle of June. It was like a 10-year heat wave in Los Angeles, and they were all dying, and they're trying to pretend it was Christmas.
Yeah.
Useless trivia for the day.
No,
I had no idea. You've got another picture here for you to take a punt on. So this one is for you there, Nicky. So we've got a shot here from a big movie. It wasn't a Christmas film, but a lot of it, a good chunk of it, was set at Christmas. So from a look at this, can you identify the film itself there? Can you?
Was that Tom Hanks in the middle?
It's Tom Hanks, isn't it?
It's not going to be Apollo 13, is it?
It's either one or two movies.
What's the one with the spy one? It was only a few years ago, weren't it? Is it a recent-ish film? I can tell you this was released in the year 2003.
I think I know what it is.
It could either be one or two movies. It could either be Catch Me If You Can,
Or Road to Perdition. Maybe.
No, it's not. He wasn't in Road to Perdition.
No.
Tom Hanks? Yeah, he was.
Of course he was. Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God. What am I talking about?
Pissed. It's
Yeah.
I
pissed.
said glasses. Then I'm gonna go with Catch Me If You Can, but I
Catch Me
do.
If You Can.
I was thinking it was that other one we
Yeah, Spy
Oh, him with
something.
BFG. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
think of his name.
I can't
Violence.
remember.
Was Violence.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was thinking of that one.
your punt was Catch Me If You Can, and you're absolutely right. Yes, it's the
Ah.
Steven Spielberg directed caper film with Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio, isn't it, who co-stars in that one. Lots of fun, that movie. Haven't seen it for a little while, but it's typical of a certain brand of film where you would get even a little bit of set dressing to remind you that sort of time had passed by. And yeah, I love all this stuff, particularly the things that are set in the 50s and the 60s, a particular kind of Christmas, a kitsch Christmas, John. That's the kind of thing I like. The more tinsel, the cheaper it looks, the nastier it looks, the more I like it, the more it feels like a real Christmas to me.
I do remember there's a scene in this film where Leonardo goes back to his parents' house when he's lost. And it is at Christmas time, and he goes to the house and he looks through the window and he sees them, celebrating Christmas stuff. And he's like really sad. I can't remember what context that was in, but it's a good scene, I found. But anyway, Christmas.
Can I just interject for what Ian said a few minutes ago about the fact films that aren't Christmas films, but we associate with Christmas films?
Yeah,
of course.
For me in the UK, one of them is Planes, Trains and Automobiles, because that's a Thanksgiving movie in the US.
Yeah.
We don't have that here, so I associate that with Christmas. And the other one for me is one I love, which is Uncle Buck.
Oh,
Yes.
I love Uncle Buck.
Yes.
Yeah,
Uncle Buck's
every
terrific.
Christmas that goes on. Well, both of them.
It's playing on. I think it's playing on Netflix. I think Uncle Buck. So.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
4 a.m. viewing for me then.
I think that people should be allowed to say what Christmas film that they're allowed to claim them.
Well,
I don't think. It doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter.
Of course.
It's like Batman Returns, isn't it?
It's a personal thing.
That I'll watch all year round, but
Yeah.
I always associate it with Christmas because I got the VCR cassette for Christmas when it was released at Christmas, so I link it to being a Christmas movie.
SK Props, Sound of Music. That was stable for us when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I hated that movie so much, but my parents wanted to see it every Christmas. And the family wanted it because they loved the songs. I hate musicals with a passion. I just sit there grumbling.
Anybody else?
Anybody
else watch Bells of St. Mary?
Yeah,
Christmas, which is also not a Christmas movie,
Yeah,
but Bing Crosby, sort of the lesser known of his three big Christmas
Yes,
movies, and then
yes.
of course you got White Christmas.
Yes, White Christmas is good. Anybody know The Bishop's Wife with Cary Grant?
Yeah.
Is that
I
considered a
usually-
Christmas movie?
Well,
think
yeah.
so,
Well,
maybe.
it's saying Christmas, isn't it? But it's not
Yes.
really about it being Christmas. I usually alternate that on a yearly basis with Preacher's Wife, just because of Denzel.
I don't like that version at
You know,
all.
I can understand why, but The Bishop's Wife is the better of the two.
It is.
but
It's better. It's better of the two. Yeah.
I like to give fair shout to films.
You remember that scene in it where Cary Grant, the Christmas tree, and he decorates them because he's an angel. He just does that, doesn't he? And all the things come on it. I think it was animation that they did, didn't they? It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's
Talking
very
about-
good film.
Talking about decorating the Christmas tree, on this next picture from a film that's set at Christmas or partially, but not a Christmas film, we see another actor decorating or dressing, because you don't decorate a Christmas tree, as everybody knows, you dress a Christmas tree. And there is an actor here dressing his Christmas tree, Chris. And I wondered if you can identify this movie from this still. What do you think this is from?
Okay, year.
The year, my friend, is the year of our Lord, 2011.
Is that Idris Elba?
Yeah, it is. I think.
You asking me or telling me?
I don't know.
It is Mr. Idris Elba. That is correct.
I don't believe I've seen this one.
No, why?
No. I could Google it.
Well, you
cheating.
can't do that. You can't
That's
do that in a
cheating.
pub quiz.
I am
No.
going to guess
Yes.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Pee-wee, the next generation. He's about the only character they haven't race swapped or gender
Yeah,
swapped
exactly.
in
That's
movies.
because he's
Actually,
dead.
Don't give
Oh,
him
yeah.
ideas.
Yeah, don't give them ideas. They're about to ruin my other favorite show.
Yeah, I've heard. So yeah, this came out in 2011. Idris Elba was in the cast, although he's often quite forgotten as a cast member of this movie. You're passing on this, Chris. You're not going to take a punt.
Well, it's not Pee-wee. Okay, 2011.
No. I'll pass it back to John if you don't know.
I abstain because Grumpy Santa has failed.
John, any idea which film this is a still from?
I think it's Prometheus.
Yeah,
it is Prometheus. Yeah, Ridley Scott.
Well, that's why I blocked that out of my head.
Yeah.
Did that door give it away there, John? That door in the background.
It's a very sci-fi door, isn't it?
It is very sci-fi.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's obviously Ridley Scott's divisive.
That's the alien stand-in before they added the CGI.
Yeah, exactly.
The tree.
Could be right.
It was sticking a star in its head. Yeah.
Not the most. It's not blessed with a great deal of Christmas cheer, is it?
No.
Or a good
Or
tidings
any cheer.
storming?
Or enjoyment, or sensical plot, or any sense of cinematic wonder, or I'm going to shut up. It was disappointing. I blocked that out of my. I would never have gotten that, Dan, because I have blocked that and its sequel out of my head. I got like my headspace, and I'm like, you know what? I need the space, so you just go in the dumpster.
Yeah, get out and stay out kind of thing. Yeah, for poor old Idris there. I tell you what, it's a bit risky because that Christmas tree, it looks like it could quite easily catch light, and he's got a cigar on the go. But then again, they probably have pretty good sprinklers.
I've done that.
Spacecraft, don't they? You've done that. Take your life in your own hands. Bowles Trek knows no fear.
It was the early 90s, man, or mid 90s. My friend's mom was not happy with us.
Good
I
stuff.
ruined Christmas.
I wonder if anybody got this in the live chat. No, somebody's guessing it was the Lady Killers. I think that's no. Is that right? Is that a serious guess?
I don't.
It's a poor guess, he says.
It's a poor guess.
Yeah.
Nothing says Christmas like a chest burster, says Retro Doc. Well, if you've been, if you've got the wife,
turkey.
if you've got the wife, the presents that have gone down well, maybe you might get that on Boxing Day. You just don't know, do you? Ignore me, says Peter Harrison. Good stuff. Yeah, so I'm afraid the agony is going to continue for the time being. I've got a couple more. We've got a couple more of these. So yes, over to you, John. So have you got any idea which movie that is partially set at Christmas but not a Christmas film this is taken from? Any ideas?
Who's that in the middle?
The clue is in the question. The question's in the clue.
I have no idea what this is.
Christmas in Toronto?
Yeah, probably.
The clues are there. The clues are there.
Los Angeles Times.
Yeah.
Year?
The year, my friends, was 1996.
1996. Good God.
At least I think it was. I better go and check that.
I have a guess, but I will wait.
Is it LA Confidential? No, probably not.
That's a good guess.
I'll just update that. I am a year out. It was 1997. This John.
I retract my.
I'll pass, but I think Ian's got a good guess on that one.
I don't know. I've a long time since I've seen that film, LA Confidential. Well, it's got Los Angeles on it, isn't it?
Yeah,
Escape from LA.
Escape from LA, says Darren.
But 96.
All right, so I got it wrong. It's okay.
That newspaper sets it in the past. It is in the past, and it is LA Confidential. You're absolutely right. Yeah, I thought I thought everybody would get that. I have never actually seen this movie. I think I'm probably the only person who's never. You haven't seen it either.
Seen it once.
I'm often told how much I'd like it.
Yeah, but people have been telling me that for years. The more people tell me to watch something, the less likely I am to watch it because I'm just grumpy that way.
It's one of those films that you watch, and it's got like big stars in it. They weren't as big as they are now, but it's one of those,
isn't it? Yeah,
yeah. It's one of those films that does something that you go, huh? Do you know what I mean? That kind of film. So
it's Kim Basinger, Kevin Spacey, Guy Pearce,
Guy Pearce,
and 2 or 3 other people. It's an ensemble movie, isn't it?
And the guy from what's his name? Oh God, the Australian
Gladiator.
fella. Yeah, what's his name again?
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe's in it. Yeah.
There you go. So Yeah, that's LA Confidential on the Christmas list as well. Just a couple more left of these to go. Over to you, Ian David Diaz, for this one. I don't know if you've been and got your Christmas shopping in yet. Knowing you, you're probably doing it tomorrow. Or
no, I don't. It's all done, mate. It's all done.
Bloody hell, that impressed me. Somebody here is getting their Christmas shopping done in this still from a big movie that was set at Christmas, but is not actually a Christmas film. So I wonder if you'd like to guess which movie this is from.
Oh, God, I don't know. Who's that then in the middle? What year was this?
You don't want a little closer look before I give you the year?
I can't. I have no idea what this is. It could be Bad Santa. I don't know. Well, then again,
the clue is in the question, and the question is in the clue. There's clues there.
I have no idea.
Okay, I'll give you the year. It was the year 1986.
1986.
It was 1986. Big movie.
There's Huggies on the ground there.
Yes.
Must be. Is it? Oh, right. I don't know. Could it be? What was that film that Nicolas Cage was in with the babies?
Oh,
Raising Arizona. No, it's probably not Raising Arizona.
No.
I have no idea. Sorry, mate. I ain't got a clue. I ain't got a clue.
Peter Harrington's taking a point that it could be Tesco's, could be Gremlins. Well, it's a good answer.
Gremlins.
It's a good guess, Peter, but it's not right. No, it's not right.
I think it's Gremlins.
Let's move it on and see if Nikki's got any ideas about the identity of this film.
So the bloke in the middle, I thought it were Ernest from the Ernest movies. Obviously, he did Ernest Saves Christmas, but it can't be that one because it's supposed to be not a Christmas film.
I'm trying to look at his face, but I can't see.
So, is it Ernest? Can you give as much as that?
It isn't Ernest, and you're looking at the wrong figure because there is a clue in this picture.
But there isn't anybody else. There's one person in the background. There's
I don't know.
Some kind of giving.
I have no idea. None whatsoever.
Another 48 hours at one point, but
another 48 hours. No,
it's a good punt, but it's not correct. How about you? How about you, Chris? Have you got any idea which film this could be taken from?
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. 1986 movies.
It's probably one I haven't seen.
Big Trouble.
You've got to have seen. You've got to have seen this scene.
Oh, really?
I'm thinking. Still thinking.
Howard the Duck.
No. I know that I've watched that movie.
No.
Damn it.
Janet.
Cobra? I don't know.
Cobra.
What was that? Sorry,
Cobra.
Chris. Cobra, the Sylvester Stallone film.
That was early 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that was 86.
You are correct. It is.
Oh damn! I was just talking out of my ass. Okay, I'm a genius.
I've never seen Cobra ever.
Really? You've got to see this.
No.
Yeah, this store is about to be shot up by the guy in the body warmer there with the cap on, who looks like Ernest but isn't Ernest. He's actually carrying, and he's about to shoot all the cereal and the Christmas trees and things like that before Marion Cobretti steps in to sort it out and mop up aisle 2. John, that's what went down.
I remember now because he's already shot some, hasn't he? And he just walks in, doesn't he? Cobretti.
That's right.
Yeah.
Blimey.
What a blast. What a blast from the past. Very impressive, Chris. So we've got one more left to go. This is to you, actually, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
And this one, you're going to like this. I'm not going to tell you the year just yet, but it's a very sweet picture. I know you've got a very soft and squishy heart beneath all that anger.
I'm a teddy bear.
You are. So I think you'll probably know who these two little girls are. But this is a scene from, again, a film which is partially set at Christmas, but not a Christmas film. Have you any idea where this is taken from?
Star Trek
Oh
Generations,
yes, of
1994.
course. That's an easy one.
Yeah.
Is it an
I
easy
got a
one?
newspaper.
Saw it in the theater twice.
Yeah. That's an easy one.
Yes, it's Star Trek Generations from
Generations,
1994. And if you look closely, the clue is in the question, and there's a question in the clue. You've got Patrick Stewart there, sat at the back. You can just make out the Starfleet uniform. It's a little bit blurred there, but there he is. Oh, Captain Picard looks like he's. Yeah, I think that's the stance a lot of dads, uncles, and granddads adopt on Christmas Day when the kids are opening the presents. There, it's sort of man spreading. Yeah, uncles, anybody, any family, any male family member, you get the old man spreading on the go, and just enjoy the flavour of Christmas by the tree. I haven't watched Generations in quite a long time, but it has got that lovely feel to it. It is. I'm a lot more fond of that film than perhaps I should be, because I know it's a pretty weak movie.
No, the secret, Dan, there's a secret to that. Ignore the presence of Captain Kirk. You're fine. Just skip past that death scene and you're fine. And the fact that they retconned the destruction of the Enterprise, which I'm fine with in the way they did. But yeah, I would rank it as the second best Next Generation movie after First Contact, and Insurrection is and Nemesis is double.
Yeah, they kind of dropped the ball on that, didn't they? Obviously the one with the Borg was the best one, and it just got worse after that, didn't it? So
yeah, weren't they writing the season finale for Next Gen at the same time, which got
Patrick Stewart, I believe, ended up in the hospital. No, this is what his schedule was like.
Did he?
He directed the second to last episode, which was Ensign Rowe's last episode. Then right after that, he went in to do All Good Things, which he features throughout that episode. He had like one day off, and then he went right into doing Generations.
Blimey.
So apparently, he completely burned himself out to the point of a hospital stay, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, this kind of makes me want to go back and watch that film now. But then again, so do the others mostly. I'd certainly like to go back and watch Cobra again. And the films that I haven't seen, like LA Confidential, I probably should get that one sorted out. And Eyes Wide Shut, I haven't seen that in a few years either. So, sometimes when you do get a little bit sort of bogged down in Christmas traditions, the movies and the TV shows to get in, that bring with them the traditional Christmas flavour that set us all up for the kind of Christmas we think we would like, then these movies that come along that we kind of forget about, they can sometimes make all the difference. And the Christmas... and the Christmas figures from TV past, they can be quite surprising, because
Lovejoy.
Ian McShane as Lovejoy here, a staple of British Christmases for years. I really took that show for granted, Nikki. It was on for several years. It was very much a Nan's favourite, wasn't it? But it was a quality show, and I probably didn't take it as seriously as I should have, because the standard has fallen so drastically since.
You say it's a Nan's thing, but one of my favourite memories is of Hasselhoff on being interviewed by Piers Morgan, and he says you always feel like you've never been taken seriously as an actor, don't you? And he says that's right. He says, is there any role that you would like to do? And he says, well, obviously I'm too old for Hamlet, but I've always wanted to do an American version of Lovejoy.
Really?
Yeah. Imagine Hasselhoff doing that on his little boat.
But at that moment in time, it was the ITV and BBC One were competing for dramas on, was it Saturday night, whatever. I remember seeing the Shoestring Christmas special, and they had the Professionals Christmas special at one point, didn't they? So it was very much the drama Christmas specials, like Lovejoy Christmas special, and it was Bergerac Christmas special. Do you know what I mean? And it was all, it's all part of my childhood, and I love that stuff. I can go back in my mind, smile a lot, think about the stuff that I saw in those days, and having that picture up, Dan, just brings all the memories back with BBC One at Christmas, So it's very different now, isn't it?
Hasselhoff just goes, he had a boat and I had that stupid talking car.
Tinkerbell as well, was it? Tinkerbell that used to help him, the guy with the curly hair.
Oh, yeah. Tinker. Yeah.
Tinker, that's it.
Yeah.
And then also
I've-
he used to talk to the audience, didn't he? He used to literally look at the audience and
Yeah.
talk to them. So that's
Yeah,
quite
Yeah,
cool.
broke the fourth wall. It was kind of Britain's answer to what was their American shows that broke the fourth wall all the time? Yeah, Moonlighting used to do that all the time, didn't it? Yeah, it's very much along those lines. Or Sledgehammer. It was a little bit tongue in cheek like that. But yeah, all our Christmas is past, present, and maybe future too. The rise of cable TV obviously brought some of this back in the 90s, didn't it? With UK Gold, UK Drama, all those stations. Now we've got Talking Pictures TV, Nikki, which is even better. You know, they're dragging up all sorts of things from the archive, aren't they? And what I love about Talking Pictures is that they don't care whether something is politically correct or not, do they? If they can get it released from the archives for cheap enough at the right price, they will screen it, won't they? They'll put up a couple of disclaimers, but after that, it's happy days. You can pretty much watch what you like.
Yeah, I mean, I've been loving the Facebook feed where all the like ghost stories and stuff like that. Talking Pictures have been pumped in for the Christmas viewing, which, you know, Ghosts at Christmas is just her most perfect thing. Although I am getting fed up with Scrooge remakes.
We've
We've got the good ones. Just forget it now.
Did you see
Scrooged.
Did you see the Carry On Christmas special? They're the Carry On ones, didn't they?
There's two Carry On.
I was two. I only saw one.
Yeah. Well, what's called Carry On?
Both called Carry On Christmas, but there is a side name to one of them. I can't quite remember.
One of them was the first one's called Carry On Christmas, and the second one's called Carry On Christmas - Carry On Stuffing.
Yeah, that's it.
Again, the Americans in the chat wouldn't know what Carry On is. I don't know if they would or wouldn't.
No, I've asked over the years because people keep mentioning Carry On.
Yeah,
but I can agree with Pete Harrington. Yes, that 1 Foot in a Grave, the only actual Christmas special they did at Christmas.
Yes,
yeah, that was pretty dark. That's the one where they're held hostage by a nutcase in a soup kitchen. Very Christmassy.
Yeah, but the British people are very good at doing that, though. I remember watching, 1 Foot in the Grave, and it starts off where he's dead. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, what? He's dead now, is he? You know, and it's like, it's ridiculous, you know. But that's British people are really good at bringing in the dark aspect.
I love
TV
that
shows.
show. I actually recently rewatched it all from beginning to end, with the exception of the last episode, which I refused to ever watch again. I watched it in 2000, I think, when it first came out, and I haven't watched it since. But yeah, I've watched that entire series all the way through. I'd say at least a couple dozen times.
The Christmas special though with Kato Mara in it, where they think he's being abducted by aliens, and he's not. He's just getting high off of cocaine in the shed.
Yeah.
You know, you cannot fault that. That is hilarious. That episode.
Well, it's really well written.
He's driving round in the grass cutter, and all the white carpets flying up in air.
And he's singing Mr. Tambourine Man, isn't he? As he's doing it.
Then he takes out the brand new glass Arboretum.
And it was so inventive.
Yeah.
And
what happened
this
to those shows? What happened to those shows?
Well, this special, this special 1 Foot in the Algarve is 30 years old this year, Ian, and it's one of several specials that have been remastered. Obviously, this was all shot on film. The series itself was shot mostly on. I think early series was shot on film, and the interiors was shot on videotape, and then it went all to video. But this was all shot on film, and it's all been remastered for HD, and so has the Last of the Summer Wine special from 1983 called Getting Sam Home, because that was all shot on film too, and both of them have got a premiere in this new remastered HD form on BBC4. I think it's on Christmas Eve, one after the other. So you can see both of those feature-length specials. They've got the Summer Wine one from 83 and then the 1 Foot special from 93, and they're both on there on BBC4. I only found out this in the last 48 hours or so. They've been painstakingly remastered. So at least somebody's looking after the stuff, Ian.
Well, they had Only Fools and Horses, where they were in Florida, and that was all shot on film. But they didn't have an audience track, did they? It was all kind of So I wonder if they'll do that. That
didn't. It's strange because that didn't work, but this did. 1 Foot in the Algarve did.
This is another hilarious one, isn't it? And you got the donkey peeing into the
in the bath.
Jacuzzi, a bath, yeah. Just it's a great episode again. This is such a good series, isn't it? One Foot in the Grave. But it goes back to what Ian said. It's such a shame that they don't do anything like this anymore, because the BBC at the time was the gold standard for this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Now I haven't watched a comedy on BBC for I don't know how long. Got to be a good 10 years now.
At least
because they're all crap.
Yeah,
well, as you know, I haven't got a TV license, and I gave up my TV license 3 or 4 years ago. Comedy is one of my favourite things, and it got to the point where I realised there was no good comedies on. I'm told that the series Ghosts is good, but to be quite honest, I'm not going to get a TV license to watch 6 episodes of something I might find funny every 18 months or so. So if any of you guys have watched Ghosts and can say that it's safe to look, then I'll consider getting on disc. But there's no way I'm going to get a TV license to watch that show and find out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I can say this from an outside perspective. Up until literally almost exactly 2015 is when I stopped. I couldn't stand most North American. Like, there were a few sitcoms that I would like, but almost everything I watched was British, which I had to put up.
I mean, going back further, you had what you call it, Steptoe Son Christmas special.
Yep.
You know, you had a Rise and Damp Christmas special. You know, all the sitcoms had Christmas specials, didn't they? Yeah, I mean,
beginning of the 90s as well. You know, every Christmas I put it on without fail. Bottom Christmas special.
Yeah, fantastic, right?
Hilarious.
Gold Frankenstein and grrr.
Porridge Christmas special was fun as well. I mean, it's just, again, it's the community spirit that the BBC used to have in those days. That you knew every star, even though I don't know that fella's name in the middle there. I know his face.
Yeah, Brian Wiles from Last of the Summer Wine as well.
Everywhere, he'd be everywhere. Do you know what I mean? And it was that community. It was that strong. Like BBC was always considered the Hollywood of England, wasn't it? At one point at the time, and they just destroyed it. Destroyed the whole thing.
I have almost every one of my favorite British sitcoms on DVD, and I watch them frequently. But after 2015 or so, I haven't watched. I just know this is crap. Yeah, but no, it could, and it had a reputation on this side of the pond because you guys only see the BBC sort of as your own home thing. Here in Canada and the US, British comedy, British dramas, British everything. From the BBC was the gold standard, and and if you wanted to watch something that was more sophisticated than a lot of the garbage that we got here, you'd watch BBC, and now it's kind of the opposite.
It's incredible though, because like Only Fools and Horses, I remember when that first came out, I got so used to Grandad, and then when Grandad died, the actor that played Grandad died, and they replaced him with Uncle Albert. It was like Uncle Albert was always there. That's how good the writing was, right? Yeah. The writing was fantastic. Do you know what I mean?
For me, as much as I like Grandad, I actually thought it got better with Uncle Albert.
I did too.
Yeah, because the writing had improved, was improving every single series of that show as well. So that helped quite a lot. That Buster joined a show which was about to really hit its stride.
Yeah.
Although I do like Leonard Pierce.
I do too. But I love
to be honest, Grandad is a more carefully constructed character. In many respects, he's a better character. Uncle Albert is a little cartoonish, but again, because the material generally got better. But there's no difference. I count Leonard Pierce and Buster Merrifield about equal as actors. I think they were both very, very strong. But obviously the material, the show got better as it went along, and Christmas without Only Fools and Horses was unthinkable for the best part of 20 years. It is. In fact, Ian, would you believe it's 20 years this year since the very last episode of Only Fools and Horses?
John Sullivan, he really did mess it up, though. It should have ended when they were millionaires.
I think we all know that.
Why did you do that?
It's not that those 3 specials were particularly bad either. It's just that it had kind of the perfect ending, and he went back to it, and John Sullivan, who I love his work, he felt tired. The actors felt, you could tell they wanted to be there because it was going to be fun and they knew that people would watch it. Then they knew there was an appetite for it, but you could tell that they were very conscious of going back to those characters. You got a writer who's probably he'd left it behind and tied a bow on it and then gone back to it. In fact, it reminds me, I'm not going to go into this, don't worry, but it reminds me a little of the 3 Doctor Who 60th anniversary specials, in fact, in the way that they're not bad. They're still only Fools and Horses. They're still funny. But when you look at it, bringing those actors back together with those characters all that time on, it only has a kind of superficial hit rate in many respects.
The worst thing that he did was so it ended on a high where they became millionaires and had a lot of money, and then when he brought them back, they lost all their money and they were back in the flat again. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Well, then he had to contrive, but he spent those 3 episodes contriving a way to get the money again.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it made sense. I mean, you couldn't just have a millionaire.
It did make sense.
I don't think it would work.
No.
It weren't an enjoyable experience.
No.
I mean, that I remember.
Nikki, just like it didn't really make any sense restoring Donna Noble's memory, but they had to do it.
Yeah,
they had to do it.
Those three Christmas specials leading up to him winning, winning the money. There's so much in there. It's more than just comedy. It's emotion, and you do feel for those characters. And when in those 3 specials that happened afterwards, you're just like, oh,
yeah,
it's just absolutely. And also, it's very cartoonish. I mean, that bloody Reliant Robin limousine thing was the one. So it's like Royal Family. When Royal Family had that break for years, and then he came back for Christmas specials, and then you had him like defrosting a turkey in a bath and that sort of thing. And I'm like, all right, those characters were not clever, but they were just supposed to represent average people. But then they made them this like cartoonish dumbness, which carried until they stopped making them, and it didn't work for me. And same Fools and Horses, just it would just dulling it out, really.
Yeah, they were
enforced zaniness. A comedy which didn't overstay its welcome. In fact, there were so few of them. Where at the height of its popularity, in fact, they were only ever making a few of these at a time. But again, when the writer kept going back to it in fits and starts, to the point where it got really, really tired, it's easy to forget quite how good episodes of The Vicar of Dibley with Dawn French actually were. In particular, the Christmas lunch incident.
Don't watch the remake.
Yeah, it was all. Yeah, it was all. This was all right. I mean, I wasn't really a fan of this at all. I mean, I've seen some episodes, but the jokes were very basic compared to Only Fools and Horses. Only Fools and Horses was character driven.
It was sophisticated,
but this was kind of like at the ending where they always have a joke with the girl with the blonde hair and stuff like that. And it was very. I don't know. I kind of liked it, but I didn't. If you know what I mean.
The sentimentality. See, John Sullivan. The reason why Fools and Horses morphed from being a 50-minute show, a 30-minute show to a 50-minute show, is because it evolved so much. It became kind of by default a sort of comedy drama, Nikki. Whereas Richard Curtis, who despite having written all these big movies and made a shit ton of money, in my view, Richard Curtis is nowhere near the writer that John Sullivan was. And so what he would do when he tried to sort of pull your heartstrings with The Vicar of Dibley, he would make it really quite mawkish. And it would be a very sort of a syrupy view of kind of like his films, how saccharine Love Actually is, for example. That all started with shows like this. But when you look back at that first sort of 10, 12 episodes of The Vicar of Dibley, where they spread it really, really thinly, it was great comedy with lots of real belly laughs.
I'll tell you what was the best show that he wrote, and a lot of people disagree with this.
Blackadder 2.
No, the Thin Blue Line.
Oh, the Thin Blue Line.
Love that show. That always makes me laugh. Right?
Was that a Christmas
special?
There was.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to rewatch that soon. I haven't seen it for a long
Ben
time.
Elton plays a homeless man in it.
Does he?
Yeah.
But Rowan Atkinson was amazing.
And the dialogue you just won't get anymore. When you had Goody, the camp copper who fancied Habib, who was the Asian one, and she's dressed as a prostitute as part of her sting, and she goes, "Is there a truncheon in your pocket? Or are you just pleased to see me?" And then she walks off and he goes, "It's a Mars bar, actually."
Yeah. I mean, that's
magic.
Silly jokes, aren't they? But they're funny. I find them. I mean, call me stupid. I find them. Really funny.
It hilarious. I really do.
Yeah.
There is an American series which did, in my view, get Christmas right, at least for a little while, and that was The Office. I think that handled Christmas really, really well.
No,
is that the gift exchange with the iPod video?
That's right.
Yes. I love that show. No, honestly, no, the first half. The first half of the show and the first 6 seasons of Parks and Rec are probably 2 of the best sitcoms ever produced in North America.
That's still
Don't
going.
watch the second half of The Office, and Parks and Rec went a little bit current year in the end because it finished in 2015. But no, I like the first season of The American Office. I actually like better than the British version.
You know what? I wouldn't quite go that far, but I think that the series is just as strong as the British Office. Yeah, and I love The Office.
Did any of you watch Life's Too Short?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like the bit where you have Ricky Gervais in that, and he's talking to Steve Carell, and he forgets to switch off the computer, and he's like, "Oh well, I make him a success, and he's making millions of dollars, and I've got to beg him to be in my film," and he's like, "Oh, you're still there, are you?"
But he did that. He did that in an award ceremony, didn't he?
They did
both a joke, didn't they? But he left, did he not? He left the show, didn't he? And
Steve Carell, he left, and he was replaced with James Spader. It's one of those shows that just went on for way too long. It should have been the first 6 seasons are gold, and then the remaining 4 or 5 seasons.
Kind of like you could say, kind of like the X-Files, Chris, because that didn't know when to stop either, did it?
Don't get him started on that.
No,
6, 7 seasons tops was.
Watch my video yesterday to see my thoughts on that. I will summarize it as X-Files seasons 1 to 6 are some of the best television. Like The Office, some of the best television ever made. If you've never watched the X-Files before, watch the first 6 seasons and the first TV movie. Do not watch season 7 because it will make you sad. Do not watch season 8 and 9 because it's good, but it's not the X-Files, and that will make you sad. The 2008 movie will make you really sad, and the reboot of 2016 and 2018 will have you drowning in your own tears. So no, they don't exist. The X-Files ended in 1999. See, now that's my non-yelling version.
It did. It did.
Can I ask
According to
Chris,
Peter Harrington, Nikki, there was an American version of The Vicar of Dibley, which starred Kirstie Alley as the vicar. I'd never heard of that.
It was horrible. Horrible.
It's terrible. It's the same dialogue, more or less, as well, but it don't work the same. It's a different personality. Kirstie Alley has to Dawn French, obviously, and it just doesn't pay off at all.
Yeah.
Going back to X-Files, Chris, what season was the Christmas one? Where they're in that haunted house with Lily Tomlinson.
That was season 6, and actually, coincidentally, I watched that episode yesterday because I watch that and the 2-parter from season 5 every Christmas, which are really only the 2 X-Files Christmas classics. But no, I actually the Ghost Story Christmas, which that was December 1998. That was actually right before the quality started to dip in the show. For me, that is Christmas viewing. So that was, 25 years ago now. So I've watched it every Christmas for 25 years. Damn.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
absolutely crazy.
And
Christmas favorites.
And there's a much more depressing 2-parter from season 5, which will not put you in the Christmas spirit, but it does take place at Christmas time.
Yeah, but even as kids, though, you would get excited about the BBC model that they used to have every Christmas, didn't they? Do you know, they used to have the globe going around, and they used to do something special with the thing, you know, like
the idents, the continuity announcements. You would recognise the voices of the people, the men and women who would introduce the shows. It all added to that family feel, just as you described, Ian. In fact, one of the reasons why I love the American Office generally so much, but particularly like the stuff they did at Christmas for special occasions like that, is because it very much reminds me of Are You Being Served? Another work.
I got some. Speaking of Christmas, Dan, this is my dad's family tradition. My dad's Christmas. There's 2 British shows that he watches every Christmas and only at Christmas. One is Fawlty Towers. The other one is Are You Being Served? So for me, those are the 2 British shows I associate most with Christmas because my dad watches them every year.
Cool.
What do you think he likes the most about it? Is it just the fact that the comedy is very, very pure?
My dad has never followed an American sitcom in his life. He can't stand them. He will only watch British comedy, and in his view, Are You Being Served is the best sitcom ever made, followed by Faulty Towers. And I think it's just there's a not to British comedy now, but there's an intelligence to British comedy back then that you did not get in North America. Like when I look at North American shows that I like Married with Children is one of my favorite shows of all time. It is not highbrow. It is written for the lowest common denominator. You'd never see it today. Or something like Roseanne, Not the Connors, which is terrible. But no, that's why people over here liked British comedy, because it was written with a level of intelligence. Because the BBC, I guess, used to be elitist in a good way compared to sort of where it is now. But you know, they did their comedies across the board were written with a level of intelligence, and I think you had to have at least a certain degree of intelligence to understand, like, Are You Being Served, Keeping Up Appearances, One Foot in the Grave, Waiting for God. I could name them off for hours. And that's why, like, I own Are You Being Served. I ended up picking it up on DVD about 10 years ago. And I didn't care much for the sequel, although I have seen it.
Yeah, it's terrible.
But Are You Being Served? It's a certain style, especially in the 70s. And the funny thing, I don't know if many people are aware of this, but a certain British show, which shall remain nameless, when it got the axe in 1989, I believe its budget was moved to sitcoms because that's what they wanted to do. And I believe the budget went to Waiting for God, One Foot in the Grave, and Keeping Up Appearances, because they both premiered the next year. So I don't know how accurate this is, but I have read the show I will not name. That budget went to those three shows, which
it's not surprising, really. Also, you're talking about intelligent humor. I mean, all you've got to do is look at Two Ronnies, and some of those sketches are so intelligent. It was written by Ronnie Barker under a pseudonym name, but some of those sketches are so funny and so clever. You don't get writing like that today anymore in anything, really. No, it's crazy, isn't it?
Talking as well about the BBC and the quality of shows back then, there were very, very few that could touch them, and particularly at Christmas, they tended not to even try, Nikki. You know, ITV for years. ITV got pulled up by Ofcom for simply not bothering at all at Christmas to actually make anything at all. They just rolled over and let the BBC sort of take all of the plaudits and the entire schedule and mop up all of the viewers. It was a done deal for a long, long time. And with comedy in particular, so you'd get and there was a good flurry of decent sitcoms on the BBC, even through the noughties. It continued, but they would also bring out the old stuff in, just like you've said. They'd bring out the sketch shows, the Two Ronnies. They'd bring out the comedies like Porridge. Not so much Are You Being Served? That's fallen out of favour in Britain. Criminally, it's fallen out of favour. But all the other channels...
So a few years ago, BBC did restart showing a Low and Are You Being Served in the afternoon on BBC Two.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? Sort of double bills and things like that. Yeah, I think it did. I think they did okay as well. They just did okay. There was a lot of attention, particularly around a Low. I think that seems to have been. I mean, that was in the end. That was kind of cancelled as well because of the accents and things like that.
It's so funny. I'm not a huge fan of Hello, but the episodes I saw, I was like, when was the last time you saw a sitcom and laughed? I can't even remember the last time I saw a sitcom and laughed.
A British one. It's been a long time.
I mean, Frasier. I remember Frasier. I think Frasier was really written intelligently. The first season of Frasier.
If I'm honest, Ian, the last British sitcom to really make me proper laugh was probably the In-Betweeners.
Oh, forgot about that.
Having said that, I'll change my answer. Friday night dinner. Yeah, the IT crowd was great as well. But a little later on, I think it finished about 5 or 6 years ago. Friday night dinner. I thought that was excellent.
I've watched that. It never came out on physical media, but they had it on Prime for a while. And I could actually tell you the last sitcoms. The last British sitcom that I enjoyed, I would say the IT Crowd, but I think Friday Night Dinner was a little bit later. Actually, so was the In-Betweeners. I think that ended in 2010.
Yeah.
The last American sitcoms that were airing, Community and
Yeah, I
Parks
like
and Rec both ended in 2015. My Two Broke Girls, which is my guilty pleasure. I'm sorry.
I've never seen that. That's
Well,
the
it
girl
got
with the big Charlies, isn't it?
It was it was the first cancellation for political purposes. It was canceled in 2017, right at the beginning of things that are going on now, because it was deemed inappropriate. So I think 2017.
Too funny, too sexy.
Yeah, 2017. I haven't followed anything on either side of the continent in 6 years. So yeah, the shows that I like are gone.
Yeah, they're all gone.
There is a sitcom.
What's that, Nicky?
Well,
Sorry, I just want to rebuttal. So, in terms of the normal BBC One or back in the 90s, BBC Two sitcoms that were huge rating winners and all that sort of stuff, I agree BBC don't pump that out anymore. But what they have started to show more of, and I enjoy and do find really funny, are Scottish sitcoms and sketch shows, which up until recent years we've not got to see. And I'm not talking about, I know like Two Doors Down has become the big success and they show that. And for me, that sitcom that's run its course a bit, it's a bit samey. But they show the Still Game, a perfect example. If you've seen Still Game, that is like an old-fashioned sitcom. It's got your comedy laughter in the background, and it's two old men, and they get up to all sorts.
Oh, that, yeah.
All sorts, and it is still fun. I can watch that, and that can just bring up my mood. And other stuff like Burnistown and Scott Squad. There's loads of Scottish sitcoms that are really funny, and there's even a Welsh one. They've only just put on iPlayer in the last couple of years, although one episode has been
a Welsh sitcom. No, I've not seen this at all. I've heard of Still Game, but I've not heard of.
Not in Welsh. It's a Welsh sitcom, but it's not done in Welsh language. It's called High Hopes. I was trying to think of the song in my head.
Oh, okay.
That's the theme tune, High Hopes. And again, hilarious, inappropriate, all the type of humor that we used to sort of watch. But one episode has been banned by BBC, but you can watch it on YouTube.
What you're saying, Nicky, is that we have to go to Scotland and Wales.
Just on iPlayer.
I'm joking.
It's
the border.
Yeah, it's the English that can't get away with anything at all. There is one sitcom that I wanted to briefly mention because I forgot completely about this last year. Yeah, the BBC had got its own up, and ITV have had a few decent sitcoms over the years. But there is one hugely successful show from the 1990s that Channel 4 made that ran for 6 seasons. And I think it's probably its crowning glory, an award-winning episode, was its Christmas episode, which finished off Series 2. And still, I think it still got repeated up until about 5 years ago, often on Christmas Eve. It's probably the only thing that Channel 4 have ever come close to having a tradition with that wasn't illustrated by Raymond Briggs. And it's the Christmas episode of another work-based sitcom, the Office Party episode of Drop the Dead Donkey. I don't know if any of you guys have seen this or remember this, but it is absolutely brilliant. Despite the fact that it's got about 6 minutes less, obviously, than the average BBC sitcom because it's got adverts in it, this is so tight, so funny that anybody can relate to. It's certainly as strong as anything that The Office ever did, the American or the British Office. So does this bring back any memories for you, John? You're nodding your head. Have you seen this one?
I'd seen bits of it over the years. I have to go back and I have to watch it again because I remember with my age, people who were a bit older were raving about it, and I always just didn't tune in to watch it. Every now and again, I'd come in from football training and it'd be on. And
yeah, if you were a kid, because of the political humour to some of it, the topical humour, then it would kind of push you a little to one side. But it had really at the end of the day, its strength was the brilliantly built characters, certainly as good as anything in the Perry and Croft stuff and Esmond and Larby's stuff as well. And the conceit, it's a really simple premise to this. In fact, it's not very topical at all. So they have an office Christmas party and the staff have to get back into work the next day and kind of remember what happened the night before at the party. And each one of the members of staff, obviously something catastrophic happened, and this is them sort of picking the pieces up from it over like 24, 25 minutes. Something that this was screened in 1991, so before I'd even started work. But obviously I've been to office Christmas parties exactly like this. People have photocopied their asses when people used to do things like that. Somebody shagged somebody that they shouldn't. It all happens in this. It's absolutely brilliant. Nicky, are you a Drop the Dead Donkey fan?
So, yes, I'm actually planning a rewatch in New Year, because in March I'm going to Milton Keynes to watch the original cast come back to do it on stage. Although I don't remember it, I don't remember specific episodes well. I did actually used to watch it. I think they're just, I've always watched all the telly, as you know, but I do think there's something that the fact that I used to watch, like, Yes, Prime Minister and this type of thing, and then I've grown up to be a civil servant. There's obviously something in me that went into this political kind of rubbish. But I remember loving it as a kid. It was the characters that I remember and are drawn to. So I'm really looking forward to rewatching this in the new year.
Yeah, 6 series all in all. This is the episode. I wouldn't like to say that it never got better than the Christmas party episode, but this was the one that won the awards, the Palme d'Or Comedy Award, all that kind of thing. Has this one ever crossed to your part of the world, Chris? Have you ever heard of Drop the Dead Donkey? It's set in a newsroom at a TV channel.
I watched it once years ago. I don't remember much about it. That lady is very tall.
Yeah,
she is.
I remember liking it, but I think it may have been 2006 or so, something that I ended up watching. I remember almost nothing. I may watch it again, though. I think I remember I liked it.
The lady in the middle, you may recognize the guy in the cardigan on the left. That's Jeff Raw, who's played numerous parts in Doctor Who and all manner of other things. He was Plantagenet in Frontiers in the classic era, and he's been in the Sarah Jane Adventures since. We've got Neil Pearson there and Stephen Tompkinson, who are both now, since this show, this kind of started their careers, really, and they've both gone on to comedies and dramas and everything else, big careers afterwards. But the lady in the middle, I do want to briefly mention her. She stood on a box. She was very tall and very slim, but that's the late Hayden Gwynn, who passed away just a few weeks ago, still quite young, in her mid-60s. A great comedy actress who's recently been in The Windsors, I think, with Harry Enfield. But has done lots and lots of drama and comedy over the years. And was a cast member of just the first 2 seasons of Drop the Dead Donkey. So, without her, this episode in particular would completely fall down. So this would be my recommendation for a special that it kind of gets lost in the mists a little. Do you remember this one, Ian? Is it your thing?
No, I remember it being on. Never watched it. Didn't interest me at all. The only person I remember from this show is the girl in the purple skirt.
Sally.
I don't even know who she is.
She was the newsreader.
Very familiar.
She was the hoity-toity newsreader who pretended that she was all prim and proper, but she would have builders and plumbers come round to fix up her house, and she'd be shagging them and things like that. She had a thing for tradesmen. She did.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So it was all very much like that. It was very, very coarse, very vulgar, very full on, but it was also very clever, very topical. Guy Jenkin and Andy Hamilton were the writers, weren't they? And they've both, as you say, Nicky, they've adapted it now for the stage or extended it for the stage. But both of them went on to write numerous shows for radio and television afterwards, as well as, I think, doesn't Guy Jenkin wrote quite a lot of books too? So yeah, they had legs, and all of these actors, the ones that are still with us, are still very present, very visible in TV in the 21st century too. Yeah.
What you were saying, Dan, there when you were talking about she worked with Harry Enfield, that jumps me on to Christmas was great as well, because you always had like the Harry Enfield Christmas specials.
Shows, yeah.
You had those, you had Fast Show.
Great.
They were just great to just sit down, scoff a load of chocolates, and just laugh your head off. It was brilliant. I just want stuff like that back.
But I don't know how do they sell the Fast Show to the BBC? Oh, it's got where it's like one line, and when they send the script in, like how's that funny? It's just one line. Do you know what I mean? But Yeah, Fast Show was genius comedy, wasn't it? Absolute genius. They had sketches where it was just one-liners that made you laugh every week, and they had sketches where, like, what's his name? The gardener. What's the gardener's name? Yeah. What's the gardener's name? I can't remember. That kind of turned into a series, didn't it?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So yeah, it was a great genius piece of work.
A story that literally got dripped out in sort of 30, 40-second chunks over 3 or 4 series. Very, very, very clever stuff. And yeah, I mean, are there any sketch shows on now? I can't think of again. They did try. BBC Three used to try and champion them, but most of them were desperately unfunny. And so I'd always persevere and try to support them, Nikki. But if you watch something solidly for 6 weeks and it barely registers a laugh, then you're hardly likely to be awaiting its return, the recommissioning of any of those shows.
Do you remember waking up Christmas Day, turning on your TV, and it would be Noel Edmonds? They used to do that live thing in the morning, didn't they?
It was a goat.
What was it, Dan? Did he used to go to someone's house?
He used to go. Well, originally he used to spend it up the British Telecom Tower, reading out messages and taking phone calls.
Right.
But after a time, he used to do Noel's Christmas presents, where people would write in and, can you make this wish come true for my auntie? She's done this, she's done that, she's done the other for me. You know, or my uncle, he rebuilt my kitchen whilst I was recovering from an operation. It was all that kind of stuff. It was all very wholesome, very sweet, and quite off the wall in the way it was presented, because Noel Edmonds was that kind of figure at the time, wasn't he? Now he's sort of he's an establishment figure. In fact, it's Noel Edmonds' 75th birthday today. He lives in New Zealand now. He's emigrated to New Zealand. He's sort of semi-retired. He works in radio out there, so he's still broadcasting. But yeah, he's pretty much given up television now for the time being, which is sad. We won't see the like of Noel again. Maybe we'll see funny comedies back eventually on the BBC and everywhere else. Maybe that should be a Christmas wish. Maybe we'll get what we want there. We'll get the ultimate Christmas present if we wish hard enough. Because you're right, Chris. I think the reputation the BBC used to have for making the whole world laugh was a noble one. It was a long one.
It's still making the world laugh, just not for the reasons that I think they want to laugh. It's again, watching this from the other side of the pond, it's actually it's almost absurd. It's like mirror universe land, seeing how the reputation of the BBC over the past roughly 7 or so years has flipped. It used to be, you mentioned the BBC, like, oh yeah, BBC is awesome, show I won't mention, awesome sitcoms, the best documentaries, Panorama before it went off the deep end. And now and now right here, BBC means something very, very different. And even the lay people know what the BBC has become over here. It's very sad. But it's a punchline. It sucks. And it's, like I said, it's absurd just seeing how the perception is like flipped from one extreme to the other.
The only thing that gives me a slight bit of hope for the BBC is this new BBC chairman that's been recommended. Andrew Neil put out a tweet a couple of weeks ago, and he basically said this guy is really good, but he doesn't take any crap, so he won't list. He's
going to be outnumbered. They said that about the other fella.
I said that about Tim Davey. Yeah. We can hope. My hopes aren't high because he's, at the end of the day, he's not actually British, is he? He's not indigenous British. He may mean well, but I think we need somebody at the top of an institution like the BBC who is British through and through, and a Christian, and all of those old values. I think that's what the institutions really do need.
What is it now, Dan? The actual building itself, because it was in Shepherd's Bush, was it not? The actual BBC building,
BBC Television Centre.
Yeah, is it still BBC? Or is it something else?
It's just called TV Centre now, but it's a TV studio, and they make ITVs this morning there, as well as some BBC shows get made there as well. But it's generally a freelance there. It was completely sold off. Part of it is apartments, and there's a restaurant there, as I understand, and you can even take tours of the place. But they pretty much ripped the heart and soul out of it 10 years ago now, in 2013.
They demolished part of it too. I know some of it was knocked down. No, I followed it when that's My theory has always been that's when the soul was ripped out of the BBC, because that was 2013, and that's when the quality went downhill. But no, BBC, for reasons that nobody understood, including over here, decided to sell it off. So they don't own it, but I think the three larger BBC studios, they don't own them, but some things are still filmed there. Some of it is apartments.
That's right.
But yeah, and that's when I noticed there was a drop in quality sort of after that, creative hub was gone. First, there was a drop in quality. Then it went into the, how shall I put this, current yearisms that started around 2015, and then it just snowballed. So like the old BBC that everybody remembers back at BBC Television Center, the building in the shape of the question mark, the real BBC, I think, died with Television Center. What you have right now is BBC in name only,
Yes.
but there's no resemblance whatsoever to what it used to be.
I'll tell you what, though, with the BBC, made me laugh, right? Basically, they have like shows like The Good Life, and you have those 4 actors in that show, but they're all upper class people. Right?
Yeah.
So you got EastEnders, and everyone without an exception, they're all upper class people playing working class people, which always makes me laugh when I see East. Well, I don't watch EastEnders anymore, but because I used to work where they shot EastEnders, and I used to go into the dining area and used to hear the actors' real accents. Do you know what I mean? And I just laugh when I watch EastEnders, or even sitcoms as well, because they're all, because it's really hard for working class people to actually get to that level, right? So they're all upper class people putting on working class accents, and that was the BBC, full stop, wasn't it? Keeping Up Appearances was about that divide, wasn't it? It was about her sister or something like that? Yeah,
it was her sisters.
And he was shaking
with a sauna, Mercedes, and room for a pony.
Yeah.
I have just picked up the box sets of Keeping Up Appearances to give that another try. I haven't watched it in years and years and years. It was another one that I felt really outstayed its welcome, went on that little bit too long.
No, it maintains its quality all the way through.
Does it? I'll definitely have to go back to it.
I've watched more. No, I've had that DVD set for almost 20 years. Oh no, every year at least one of those discs makes its way into my player. Hyacinth Bouquet is timeless, or no, Hyacinth Bucket.
Yeah.
Bouquet.
It's one of my big sort of challenges for next year is to get back in touch with Keeping Up Appearances in particular. I've got several shows that I've been saving. I mean, last year I did rewatch all of Ever Decreasing Circles, and I loved that to bits. And again, it's a melancholy feeling because they don't make shows like this anymore. As I say, maybe one day they will. If we wish hard enough, as I say, or maybe we've got to look at some of these comedies that you were talking about there, Nicky, the ones that are being made in Scotland and in Wales and maybe Ireland too, and further afield as well. But it really is a pity that the BBC doesn't make them like this anymore. Let us know what you think of all this in the comment section. As always, of course, we've been broadcasting, live streaming this one to YouTube and to Facebook. Our Christmas cracker for 2023. It's our 3rd Christmas cracker, in fact, for the Spacebook Listed. And we've got a comment section you can add your recommendations to as well. You can pull us up on the stuff that we've missed, because obviously we've covered what we can, but there's lots more. So add your favorite to the comment section, please. And like this video, share this video to give them a Christmas present out there. Subscribe to the channel, check you're still subscribed, and hit the cloister bell. It's always a cloister bell. Hit the cloister bell to get all the notifications about what we're doing next and when it is that we're doing it. Of course. Yes, so dematerializing now. I think I've got some Satsumas in. Come to think of it, I've definitely got some Satsumas in, and of course the TARDIS is back on Christmas Day. More of that another time. Other traditions that are going to be reborn. Absolutely, I'm going to watch a Bond film this Christmas too. Ian, have you got one picked out?
No, I don't know. I haven't watched a Bond film on Christmas Day in ages. But just had a thought just now. Is BBC4 still going?
It is.
All right, you know,
only repeats though. Now I understand.
Yeah, but
mate.
you know they've got nothing on BBC4. Why don't they just take the schedule that they had in 1974 or
They
Christmas
do.
Day and just play the whole schedule?
To be honest,
so we
mate,
can go back in time.
to
All
be
the
honest, from
adverts
what
and
I've
everything.
seen, like I said, I haven't got a TV license presently, but I've recently bought. I've bought the Christmas Radio Times this year mainly for the articles about that show that Chris doesn't like to talk about. So I've bought that, and what I've noticed is, the BBC4 does still show a lot of archive comedies. I say they've got, if people want to see this, they've got several specials, but the ones that they're particularly proud of are these brand new HD remasters of that Last of the Summer Wine Christmas special from 1983. It's called Getting Sam Home, all shot on film, absolutely brilliant. And then that One Foot in the Grave special, One Foot in the Algarve from 1993. They're both on Christmas Eve. Feature-length episodes of those shows. They should be looking better than ever. Obviously, for the HD generation, you can get those on BBC4 as well.
Yeah.
How about you, Chris? Have you got anything that you've got next to the television? Because you watch a film most days, don't you? Have you got something you're saving for the big day?
There's two movies that I've watched every December 23rd since I was a kid. One is A Miracle on 34th Street.
Which one?
The original. And black and white. Do not watch that in color. Do not watch any of those in color. I watched that and Scrooged with Bill Murray from 1989. So every December 23rd, I watch those two. I may watch a Christmas horror movie tonight. I just haven't decided which.
Ooh.
I watched Candy Lane. Cool. Was it Candy Lane with Eddie Murphy?
The new Eddie Murphy one?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad.
I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, I mean, Eddie
Murphy.
On? It's on Amazon. Eddie Murphy was saying he wants
check it out.
Yeah, he wants it to be a Christmas classic, but I don't think it's good enough to be a Christmas classic.
No, it's not a classic. It's all right. It's watchable.
It's all right.
Yeah.
He's been past his best for quite a long time, but and we all know that Eddie's not meant to be the nicest of people, but he's a great entertainer, and I'd love to see. I mean, I'd like to think that the new Beverly Hills Cop film's going to be good, but it's a very much an outside chance. I have heard that this film, though, this Candy Lane thing is a nice, amusing family movie.
Well, here's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to blame Ian.
What?
I have not decided what I'm going to watch tonight because I don't have anything scheduled for the 22nd. Right. So I am going to watch this Eddie Murphy movie tonight, and if I don't like it, it's your fault.
I'm just saying it's okay. It's not great. I'm just saying it's okay. You know what I mean? They do play a lot of tunes in
okay is good, relatively speaking, these days.
Yeah.
I got bored and just tried checking out some of these movies on Netflix.
Yeah.
Wow. I can recommend you a good Christmas movie to watch, and it's really schmaltzy, and it's really it's kind of romantic, and it's very silly. A film called Love Hard.
I have not heard.
I
enjoyed that.
I really did enjoy it. It was so schmaltzy that I really enjoyed it.
It's very very silly, but the girl is ridiculously cute,
gorgeous. Yeah.
And again, it just seeks to entertain and wants to amuse, and that's the feeling I get about this Eddie Murphy movie. And quite frankly, even that's a step up from what we've been getting of late, pretty much all year round. Never mind at Christmas, Nikki. What have you got scheduled?
Hold on,
for the
next? Chris, watch that one instead, mate. Watch
Which
Love
one?
Hard. Love Hard. Watch Love Hard.
Love Hard.
Love Hard. Yeah,
Love Hard.
Love Hard.
What's that on?
Like Die Hard.
Yeah.
No. Like Die Hard, but love hard. Yeah. That's what he means.
That sounds like a dirty movie, Ian.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm just going to look this up and see if I can. Okay, so Love Hard. I'm not going to
get the right one. Yeah.
That's on Amazon. I think. Is it on Amazon or is it on Netflix?
It is Netflix 2021. Rotten Tomatoes. Okay, critics 53%. Audience score 90%. That is the sign of a brilliant movie. I am watching this.
There you go.
Guaranteed. So, how about you, Nikki? What have you got lined up for the next 48 hours, 72 hours?
Well, in our house, Christmas, December is usually us packing as many Christmas films in or TV shows as possible.
As a family?
As a family. Well, I say as a family, usually me and my missus, because my 8-year-old only watches her iPad, and my 17-year-old today, she just in her hovel, Yeah, thank you. She's in her hovel, and we never see her, so it's really just me and Sarah. Except for Christmas Eve, we always watch Grinch as a family, the
Cool.
Jim Carrey version.
Very
though.
nice.
And we usually end up watching Elf together as well, because that's just the thing.
Really fun.
Can't go wrong with Elf. Can't go wrong.
There's some I have to watch by myself. None of them will watch out in black and white, like Bishop's Wife and so on and so forth. But this has been a really busy Christmas, and the only film we've actually managed to watch is the David Harbour one from the other
Oh,
years.
yeah.
Violent Night.
Violent Night.
I'm going to have to try and
it's
fit that in.
hilarious. If you've not seen it, give it a go. It's a really good laugh. But you've made me a bit nostalgic because there's all sorts of things I watch. I always watch the bit of saccharine. I watch Mrs. Santa Claus with Angela Lansbury, which is a TV musical that Hallmark made. It's the only Hallmark Christmas film I will watch, and it's mainly Angela Lansbury. It also has Trevor Jordache from Brookside in as well, which is
Oh yeah,
that's by the by. Even though it's not technically Christmas as such, BBC's adaptation of The Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe from the 80s.
Fabulous.
I know you're a Box of Delights person, but that is my nostalgia.
You can't touch the Box of Delights, but the Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe is a pretty close second.
It's where I've seen it that many times. I can mouth the words as I watch it because I had it in the double. It were a double box set. There were 2 VHS tapes in, and they took out all the credits. So it was like a 3-hour film, but across 2 tapes. Yeah. And you used to have to watch it. So that's something. But on about Christmas of yesteryear, the show I love that I don't think gets the recognition that it deserves is there was the series Operation Good Guys. I don't know if you remember that, which was
I've heard of it. Yeah, I've heard of it.
I've actually got that.
Sitcom. It was unscripted, and it was about inept coppers, and it was like a fly-on-the-wall documentary. And the first series was done very straight in terms of there were no comedy, laughter on it. And then from series 2 onwards, not American, series 2 onwards, it had the comedy laughter, but it didn't take away from it. And it is really funny. But they finish after 3 series with a Christmas special. And it's all about, as it goes on, the guy in charge, he more and more wants to see himself as a TV personality as opposed to head of a group of policemen. And so they do a drug raid dressed as snowmen and try and get that other way. And then they break into BBC studios to try and record a Christmas special. And it is just like a nod to all the Morecambe and Wise type stuff of yesteryear. And they've got sketches and a musical number, and they're dressing up as women and all sorts of stuff. And it is just fabulous. It is absolutely well worth a watch. And I think I'm going to stick that on in the next couple of days, just because it's made me think about all this.
I thought I knew what I was going to watch, John, but speaking to all you gentlemen this evening, I've got all these other things I'm sort of adding to the list because I am midway through the Box of Delights. I always seem to be midway through the Box of Delights. Now I kind of want to watch the Chronicles of Narnia as well. I know that you've been trying to get some Christmas viewing in too, but what have you saved up for either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day? Give us 2 choice cuts.
I've already done Gremlins today. That's done.
Excellent.
And then Christmas Eve is always the same, that I have Trading Places, Scrooged, and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Those go on in the same day. And that film is perfect.
The great Eddie Murphy, which, and this is the one that I've dusted down off my shelf that I haven't watched for a long time. You and I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago now, and you brought this up. I thought, no, this is the year. I'm going to make sure I get this film in. I watched it when I was a kid. I'll be honest, it was mostly because of Jamie Lee Curtis and her top bollocks. But I'm older now. I'm more seasoned. I'm a more rounded individual. You know, I don't need a nice pair of jugs to appreciate a good comedy drama movie. This is a fantastic film directed by John Landis with great acting from Jamie Lee Curtis, Dan Aykroyd, and Eddie Murphy. So yeah, I'm going to be looking at this one again too.
And as I said to you a couple of weeks ago, Dan, you have to watch Coming to America with it because it's kind of
the same
universe.
Yeah.
It is.
It's what you call it? John Landis was top of his game at that point in his life, and
he was doing his apology tour for the Twilight Zone incident.
Yeah. But the thing I like about Trading Places is that the humor is just spot on with everything, and even Eddie Murphy in jail when he's talking about he knows kung fu and all that, and the Bruce Lee move and all that stuff. It's just absolutely hilarious. The whole thing is so funny.
It's just that Dan Aykroyd bit where he stands up as well when he's been let out of prison. He jail and he shouts, "That man tried to have sex with me."
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's a great movie. It really is. It's
a real childhood favorite.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy, as I said, anything he did, he just struck gold, didn't he?
Yeah.
Anything he did at
he couldn't really put a foot wrong for a long time. I mean, there was The Golden Child. We don't talk about that very often, but it's right. It's not quite like that. Generally speaking, it was a big hit rate for Eddie Murphy for about 7 or 8 years. Yeah, he really was at the top of his game and one of the faces of the 80s. And this film, in particular, I think stands up really, really well. I haven't seen it for a little while.
A lot of people talk about Trading Places and they talk about Jamie Lee Curtis and her boobies, right?
Tits, yeah.
But the scene that always makes me laugh is the bit in the train when he comes as a Nigerian, whatever, and he comes, you know what I mean? He comes dressed in blackface, doesn't he? And I just think that scene is so hilarious. It almost makes me cry with laughter. Sorry.
Also, Ian, it's that bit with the gorilla.
Oh, that was hilarious as well.
Just the eyes at the end.
Yeah. And it's those small scenes. Remember when the Beaks was on the phone and that guy comes on and he goes, F off, doesn't he? He just turns to this movie is genius. Absolute genius. Funny.
There are several films. Yeah, I'm going to definitely get this one in, but I have got a backlog of Christmas films from throughout the decades that I've never, ever seen. And until recently, I hadn't even watched Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I watched this a couple of Christmases ago, and it's like 25 years old. And but it's a way of, for me, when I get chunks of the 70s, 80s, or the 90s that I've never seen before, they are kind of like brand new Christmas presents from the past. I can sort of soak in the nostalgia. More often than not, they're great movies that encapsulate that time. It makes me think of what I was doing when those films were out, Nikki. And so, they become sort of special to me for different ways.
The reason I love Jingle All the Way, I do think it's a genuinely funny film, but it's one of those many films. There's those great small cameos by
by loads.
What's his name? Phil Hartman. Is that his name?
Phil Hartman,
Hartman sadly passed away a few years ago. But the one-liners and little double entendres he gets in Jingle All the Way just kill me. Same as when he turns up in Sorry, I Married an Axe Murderer. He just kills me every time I see him on screen. It is so funny.
Who's that guy there, Santa? What's his he's famous.
Belushi.
Brother.
James Belushi.
James Belushi, yeah, he's funny.
Yeah.
He's in Trading Places as well, actually, James Belushi. He was originally in the gorilla costume.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. He walks in with no trousers on.
Yeah.
Again, let us know which memories that we've stirred up here from your chimney about movies and TV shows from decades past that you associate with Christmas, that you dust off again, perhaps every year, or something you've been meaning to go back to for a little while. You've been watching the Spacebook Listed Christmas Cracker for 2023, everybody. Here with the panel, we've got John Yulden here. Merry Christmas, John. Thanks for joining us for this one. What a jumper that you're wearing there. I gather you've broken it out just for us. It's an absolute belter.
I've been sucking my gut in through the whole show.
Merry Christmas.
Can't see it. We can't see it.
New Year.
I'm going blue.
Ian David Diaz, as always. This is the third of these Christmas crackers, and they're always fun, aren't they? Sometimes we may repeat ourselves, but then again, we're all getting a little bit older, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's only natural, and it depends on the company, doesn't it? The memories that get sort of stimulated and stirred, all part of the fun. Merry Christmas to you, my friend, and a Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Nicky, he may be missing his furry ball at the end of that cap, but he's a sharp as a tack and loaded with so many Christmas memories as well. Nobody watches more TV and movies that I know than you do.
Yeah.
I don't know how you've managed to fit in doing this stream. In fact, breaking up your schedule, but I'm so glad that you have.
Thank you. Just before we're on, I was actually watching the Christmas special of Brookside from 1985.
Oh,
so,
right.
you know.
Now that's geeky even for me. I love the old EastEnders stuff, but I haven't quite got that far. But yeah, we'll let you get back to it. But a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you too, Nikki. You've been a great company yet again. Hope to bring you back on for more shows in 2024. And finally, our mate Chris, aka Bowles Trek. Delighted to see you back making content of any kind again, mate. I know regular videos are forthcoming from you and your friends, whether they're on 2 legs or 4 legs. I was delighted to see the Professor back too. You watch a movie most days, though, don't you? So I know that just like Nikki, you're always watching and working your way through something. So again, thanks for finding the time to come and speak to us again.
It was awesome, my friend.
On the Spacebook, yeah.
And I've loaded Ian's movie into my Netflix, so I'm going to watch that tonight. The one with the dirty title.
That's the one. Love Hard. Yeah, just make sure you go to the right app to watch it from. Otherwise, you will get something completely different. Merry Christmas, Chris, and a Happy New Year to you, mate. Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of the show. It's kind of been like a big Christmas dinner, hasn't it, with the people there in the live chat on YouTube and on Facebook. Leave us some more comments, but that does wrap it up this time. We've got Trifle coming next. Well, that's what we've got here. But sincerely wishing you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. The Spacebook Listed and Live will return, everybody. But yeah, for now, that's it. You keep watching and we'll keep watching. We'll speak to you all again soon. Merry Christmas, everybody. Bye-bye.
Ta-da.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.